See some thumbs up. Cool. Okay, so I'm Jackie. I represent the publisher, Usborne Books and More, like Stephanie said, and I'm super excited to chat with you all today about the importance of reading. I started working with UBAM when my son was 9 months old, and I bought my first book with Usborne at that time, and it was amazing. My son fell in love with how interactive the book was, and I, of course, fell in love with how much he loved these books. And that was what started my journey with Usborne Books and More. And today, 5 years later, we have accumulated over 1,000 books from Usborne Books and More. And my kids at the ages of 6 and 3 are avid readers. Nothing warms my heart more than hearing them ask for a book instead of a toy. And so I hope I'll get to share with you guys some tips and tricks we have learned by being a read aloud family. Okay, so let's do well, I don't think I can do a poll actually since I didn't set this up, but who already has kids? Give me a thumbs up. Awesome. Who's expecting their first? See if I can pull this up a little better. Anybody expecting their first kiddo? Okay, oh, yeah, I got some, yes. Okay, how many of you read to your babies while they were still in the womb? Some thumbs up. Cool, awesome. I want to share a story with you about a woman named Jessica. Jessica made it a goal for her to read 10 books a day to her baby girl that was in her womb. When her daughter came early and was in the NICU for the first few months of her life, Jessica recorded herself reading stories so that the nurses played her voice for her daughter while she was in the NICU. Jessica's daughter was later diagnosed with Down syndrome, but she still graduated from high school and later from college. Some of you know my story. My oldest was also born premature. And so this story really resonates with me because I remember those NICU days and how hard they were. The power of books and reading is truly amazing. Books link kids to the adult world and adults to their kids' world. They connect us and give us hope, curiosity, and love. Usborne Books and More creates irresistible books that spark curiosity and grow young minds. UBAM authors give children great respect, and our books are never, ever boring. Our books help kids cope with the world and help them become the best people they can be. It's magic and science. We are the most important people to our kids, and reading to them supports them. Books are adventures that we get to take with our kids. So I love this quote. When we read, not only do we bond, we love, we become, and we raise people that will change the world. And that is why I work full-time as an administrative assistant as well as a book lady, because it's so important to me to give this joy of reading to every kid out there. So, how many of you, another poll, have heard about the 5 love languages? Yes, some hands, cool. Okay, did you know that reading to your kids hits 4 out of 5 of the love languages? Physical touch. You give them a safe and protected space when you snuggle up and read a book. Quality time. Has anybody heard of the 10-minute rule? Only 10 minutes a day of uninterrupted, completely focused time with your kids will make everything better for them. That's all they need from us. Acts of service, nurture, grow, exercise their imagination. Words of affirmation. The goal is to make reading a lifelong source of delight. Give them the tools and resources they need to be happy. And then we say 4 out of 5 but really, what better gift is the gift of literacy? So there's this really cool book called The Enchanted Hour, and I read it this past year, and it's really, really like mind-blowing. Obviously, this is stuff I knew as a book reader, but it's just incredible, especially in this day and age of devices and screens. You can't see it because of my background, but and TV. I know so many of us went to screens during this past year, and that's totally okay. I did it. I mean, my kids like live by snack and showtime, so it's totally okay. But what this book, The Enchanted Hour, taught me is that 20 minutes every day of reading to our kids undoes all of that screen time. Completely undoes it. It helps them build vocabulary. It fosters their imagination. It kindles their appreciation for language and culture. When you sit down and read to them, you're doing all of that. You're getting that 10-minute devoted time. You're hitting those love languages. You're connecting with them and helping them in a way that nothing else will do. Megan Cox-Gordon discusses the latest neuroscience and behavioral research linking reading aloud to cognitive and social emotional benefits for young children. So in the previous slide, I talked about helping our kids learn to be happy. We have to teach them everything. As those of us that are moms, we know this already. Soon to be moms, you'll learn this. You have to teach them everything. Yes, they are happy, but what happens if something in their life, like my oldest son lost a cat? We had to teach him how to go through that process. And reading books was really, really beneficial when we went through that grief process. Mia Cox-Gordon argues that this practice is a fast-working antidote to the fractured attention spans, atomized families, and unfulfilling ephemera of the tech era, helping replenish what our devices are leaching away. So what I want to leave you guys with is this quote. By the age of 2, kids that are read to regularly have greater language comprehension, larger vocabularies, and higher cognitive skills. I know I have seen this with my kids, and so I hope that you have learned some new skills, some new tools to help your kids reach their greatest potential through just the simplicity of reading a book. Thank you guys so much for listening to me. Obviously, I personally am grateful that this is a short presentation because I am losing my voice more and more. But I did want to end with telling you, read to your kids 20 minutes every day. Do that 10 minutes of bonding time. It will do wonders. Read to them while they're in the room, and even when you're nursing. It's helped us tremendously with our emotional state this past year. And if you're ready and want some tools on some really awesome books, message me after this presentation, and I will love to personally curate a list of books for you from me based on my kids and our readers. It is truly my wish to spread the joy of reading to every child across this world, and I hope you can help me. Thank you.
Awesome, Jackie. We have a question in the chat. How many books do you usually read in the 10 to 20 minutes, or does this vary by age?
Does not vary by age. In 10 to 20 minutes, depending on the book, I can get through a pretty big stack. I'd say average 5 books in that time period.
Thanks, Jackie. And I want to give a moment because you are the first presenter. So this is the first phase of questions. So if anyone else has a question for Jackie, if you want to toss it into the chat, we'll wait just a moment and see. And then if there's extra time at the end, we can always come back and ask. So we have another question, Jackie, from Kate. After they begin to read, do you take turns reading or do you keep reading to them?
Right now with my 6-year-old, We take turns reading. We make him read the sight words. So he's at level 2 books right now. He's very proud of this. So if we pull out a level 1 book, we expect him to help us read that book.
Awesome, Jackie. We got a couple questions via private chat. So one of them is, do you have any books that teach reading?
Yes, absolutely. We have lots of different varieties. We have leveled readers, like I just said, level 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are great because they're only $3.99 and you can buy them individually. We also have a very large box set that takes you all the way from 2 or 3 all the way to chapter books. And that is also amazing because it has a lot of great teaching tools in it for us parents. And I really like that set. And finally, we have our phonics readers, which teach reading based on rhyming. So that's how actually I personally started, was with the phonics readers. So we would read these books and we would ask our son, our oldest now, when he was 3, if it rhymed, what would be the next rhyming word? And he'd be able to figure out looking at the pictures.
That's so great. Jackie, we have one, it's from Paige. Paige, I really identify with your question because I have 20-month-old twins and they do the same thing. So my 15-month-old likes to read the same 3 books over and over again. I feel that in my soul. Is that okay? Anything I can do to broaden his selection or just be happy he's interested in books suddenly, even if they're the same? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, totally okay. I read the same 3 books every night, bar none. Especially Little Blue Truck. That's a big popular one. They're memorizing it. And that's how kids learn to read, is through memorization. It was the very first step in reading. Like I said, the rhyming words, those easy, simple books that have that rhythmic is so good for them. They're picking up all that great vocabulary and they're memorizing it, and will surprise you when they turn around to your younger sibling and read the whole book to them when you think you're not listening. So it's great.
Awesome, Jackie. And then we have one from Kate. Kate's obviously a teacher. I can feel that, Kate. Do your books correlate to their Lexile levels?
Yep, I can. I have those resources. We do AR, Lexile, all of those.
And then I have one more that was sent via private message. What is your favorite children's book and why?
So the obvious would be like an Usborne book, but truly, I don't want to just be like selling my own product, but truly, my favorite book, we just came out with these not too long ago, but it's the Don't Tickle series. They are my favorite because they are a board book. So, and they have these great pages where you can just wipe them clean with a baby wipe. They have textures. So they're animals. There's Don't Tickle the Hippo, Don't Tickle the Dinosaur. They have textures. So, your little ones will love to feel them. They also have sounds. So when you touch that parrot and tickle it, don't tickle the parrot, you might make it squawk. It squawks. It's just brilliant. And my 3-year-old loves it, even when he was 2. And my 6-year-old, it's so easy. He has learned to read, so he'll read to the 3-year-old, and it's brilliant. And at the very end of the book, it says, "Oh no, now look what you've done." And it's like a dance party, and we all dance. It's the best. So that's my favorite.
That's great. I have one more for you, Jackie. If you have a child who likes to read by themselves, but obviously is too little to be reading yet, does that still count towards the 10 to 20 minutes, or should that 10 to 20 minutes always be like a parent reading with the child?
So it probably should be a parent reading with the child. It is great that they like to take a book. They're learning that textile, how to turn pages, but they're not getting the vocabulary. So they're getting stimulated with the colors and they're turning the pages, which is all great skills, but you still want to read aloud to them to build that vocabulary.
I want to give just another minute if there's anyone else who has questions that they want to toss them into the chat. If you don't feel comfortable using the chat, you can also just private message it to Stephanie Lund on Zoom, and I can read out your questions as well. If we don't get to them right now, keep in mind that Jacque will answer questions later. So we've been able to ask most of them now. If you have a question for Jacque later in this presentation and she's not presenting, still toss it in the chat with Jacque's name. And if we don't have time to answer it today, she'll make sure to address it outside of this space. Just another minute. Jacque, we want to thank you so much for being here. I'm going to toss up Jacque's name and also her website. So if anybody wants to access it, to look at her books that are available, you'll have access to that information there. All right, and then at this time we're going to pass it over. Angela is going to talk to us about one of our sponsors today. We are going to do our first raffle. We're going to pull for 3 prizes for Enfamo bags. So I'm going to pass it over to Angela